The American Frontier and Manifest Destiny. What could be more American than the western expansion of the United States? By 1783, America had won the greatest gamble in history, going against the British Army. Out of the ashes came 13 colonies. However, it took over 10 years for those 13 colonies to become states. 1 year later, America got its first taste of expansion with what would become the first of the non-13 colonies to become a state. After the Louisiana Purchase, America had gobbled up much of its territory below the Missouri Compromise line used for slave states. What stood in the way may have been the difference between one world and a whole nother, completely alien to mankind. One year and 9 months later, the U.S. took it without an intense pushback. To the west, now was an infinite expanse of territory. What would come for the nation was years of war, anger, and debate. However, in this alternate timeline, they pushed back. And they pushed back hard. What would be known as one of the most influential powers in the world would just be beaten by what was thought to be a stepping stone to destiny. The entire idea of manifest destiny, gone. An idea that would shape a nation is never even created. The U.S. experiences the death of a state, multiple territories, and a whole ideology. However, not only did Mexico kill the idea of expansion, they would be able to take what would come from it.
There's plenty of gold, so I've been told, in California.
Rather than an American gold rush forming a Western culture in the country, Mexico has a chance for a massive gain on its part. Americans wouldn't just let the craze be Mexico's deal. Instead, the West would see Americans immigrating to Mexico rather than the opposite. But back in the Union's own territory, migration will take a new form. Long before the Mexican-American War, the country experienced one of its greatest tragedies, the Trail of Tears. Thousands of Cherokee, Choctaw, Chickasaw, Creek, and Seminole Indians were displaced, sent from their homes, and forced to what would be known as the Indian Territory. Now it's in question as the most coveted territory for a group that will only truly see itself as a group in 1861. Soon, Oklahoma would become the last and next slave state. Rather than becoming a state in 1907, Oklahoma becomes the last slave state in the Union. Definitively. All previous Native Americans are kicked out of the land to make way for the new state. The slave state created from this new tragedy will create one of the oddest paradoxes in this new American history. As the expansion of slavery stops, so does the question of it. In this America, rather than slavery being knocked out due to the 13th Amendment, and no grand reason for the North to be involved, it takes much longer until the question of slavery comes up once again. However, it will. In 1871, at the very dawn of the Gilded Age, the inspiration of many current protests and strikes put into question the idea of slavery. 1 year later, what would be the catalyst to the oncoming action, some states begin taking notice. Connecticut pushes the movement forward by banning slavery in the following year for the entire state. Even some southern states follow suit, such as Louisiana and Arkansas, inspired by the speech James Gabe Polk gave only 20-odd years earlier. After years of deliberation, the nation drafted what would be the end of an era of slavery in America, the Servitude Abolition Act of 1900. Once we reach the 20th century, studying any event becomes increasingly hard. The final states are admitted into the Union much earlier as there is less territory to expand to. As for the World Wars, it is possible the Zimmermann telegram from Germany asking Mexico to join the war would have never been intercepted, and a second Mexican-American war could have occurred. Due to manifest destiny never becoming an idea, the country never has a reason for large-scale imperialism past the main landmass. The Spanish-American War never happens. The Philippine-American War never happens. And the endless conquest of other nations never comes to fruition as it does in our history. However, past this, speculation becomes nearly impossible. Society is completely changed. Any attempt at predicting future presidents or wars becomes nothing more than meaningless fiction.